Knowing how to debug your programs using some of the debugging features in Visual Studio is super helpful, especially when you get into more complicated programs and code. So we're going to practice using some of those debugging features here in this little simple example, so that as we progress through the class, you will become more and more familiar with these and they'll become second nature. And so that when you do have a more complicated program, you're going to be able to debug it without any problems. So we are going to do a little debugging, and we're going to come down here to read double. And the first thing I'm going to show you is we're going to right click on console.write, and we're going to tell it to run to the cursor. Okay, so that automatically kind of puts it into debug mode, and it runs to the point that the cursor was at, which is console.write. Now, what did it do then? So it started up here at main, it ran, or it said to go into the run method, went into the run method, called read double, and we're right here on the first statement. So how do we get it, to move forward one line at a time? We're going to choose step into. So if we click on this, okay, we just move to the next line. And you can see now it says enter your daily rate. Okay, so let me do step into again. And now I can key in a value. And at this point, we want to return it. And now it hit that. So you can see step into does exactly one line at a time. Okay, so now we're back to storing it. Okay, and we could keep doing this, but I want to show you some of these other buttons. So that is step into. How it's different than step over. Well, we'll do step into one more time. All right, so now we can see that we're actually in read int. And now we're going to tell it to step over. Okay, let's put in our number of days. Oop, step over again. Step over. Try step over again. All right, now you'll notice that when I did step over starting here, it just flipped down there. So what it did was it went through and it did the whole entire function without stopping, or the method without stopping line by line. So do that again. And again, now we're at the end. So if I do it one more time, it should be done. Okay. But let's run this again, starting here. Okay, so we already saw that step into does each line. Let's try step over again. Do it again. You probably aren't going to notice a whole lot of difference yet. But let's hit step over here. All right, so now you can definitely see it's not going line by line, right? So we started here, we said step over, and it's just going to run the whole entire thing. So now let's do our number of days. And it went to write fee. And if I do step over, it's going to run the whole entire thing. Now, there's one more button that we need to look at. Step out. What does that do? That takes us out of this process altogether. Okay, so if we do step out, it's done. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's stop it here. Run to cursor. So now it's going to whip through the first one because we didn't tell it to stop. And then we get to the point in the second one, okay, where it's stopping. And if we tell it to step out, okay, then it kind of finishes and goes here. Let's step out. And you can see that it automatically went through and finished running. We'll step out again. And it's done. Okay, so again, this goes line by line. This one, if you start up here where a function or a method is called, it runs the whole entire method. And this one is how you kind of get out of it. Now, another kind of neat command is continue. So it's pausing here, right? We hit continue. And then it just kind of continues to run. Okay, so number of days. So it kind of takes it out of debug mode. Now, one other thing I want to show you is how to set a breakpoint. So what we've done so far is we've kind of right-clicked and we've just given the command to run to cursor. With a breakpoint, you can actually set up multiple breakpoints and it'll run until it gets to the breakpoint. And then you can use those step commands or the continue command to have it continue running. So how do you set a breakpoint? There's two ways to do it. We can right-click on the location, go to breakpoint, and insert a breakpoint. Okay, then we can run it, and it'll run to the breakpoint. And so once we hit that breakpoint, it's a matter of stepping into, stepping over, one of those commands. Okay, and then if we don't want to have the breakpoint there, we can just click to get rid of it. And we can have multiple. So let's put one here. So if you think click to get rid of it, can you click to put it in? Yes, that's normally how I do it. Okay. And so we can run it. Okay, and it paused. And if this is something that I needed to watch a little more closely to see maybe how it was calculating or how it was working, probably go like this. And maybe do that again. Enter my daily rate. Okay, and then at that point, I might do continue. And then it'll automatically run until the next one. Okay, so then I might go step over, enter the number of days. Okay, and it's still kind of in this little stepping mode. So if I just want it to keep running at this point, I hit continue. Okay, but the reason that you put these in is so you can slow it down and you can kind of watch what it's doing so that you can figure out what the problem in the code is. So I'm going to take these out. Okay, and so these are just little features that are super helpful. The breakpoint feature is available in JavaScript and other languages as well. And what you saw for step into, step over, all of those stepping commands, those are available in other languages as well. Okay, so you are going to see step into, step over, and step out in other languages besides C#.